I come with more ideas than is necessary just because if something's not working or if it's just not vibing, then, we've got some other ideas or we don't have to do anything. We can just do beautiful portraits and that's fine too. So it's the extremes from beautiful portraits to completely nutty, wacky stuff.
You're listening to the B&H Photography Podcast. For 50 years, B&H has been the professional source for photography, video, audio, and more. For your favorite gear, news, and reviews, visit us at bnh.com or download the B&H app to your iPhone or Android device. Now here's your host, Derek Fassbender.
Welcome, listeners. I'm Derek Fassbender, host of the B&H Photography Podcast. 10 years ago, the podcast was created as a way to spark candid conversations about all things photography with the kind of insightful and accomplished artists whose careers and bodies of work influence and impact photographers of all kinds. In the near future, we have some exciting changes coming your way as we evolve with a new look, but the same classic approach to getting inside the minds of the creative professionals we look up to, celebrate, and draw inspiration from. In the meantime, we've taken a deep dive into our decade-long archive to bring back some of our favorite conversations, starting with the chat I hosted last year with Saturday Night Live's longtime photographer in residence, the incredibly talented Mary Ellen Matthews, who's about to wrap the 51st season of this cultural phenomenon. Week in, week out for more than 2 decades, Mary Ellen has conjured visual magic behind the scenes, creating inventive and irreverent portraits that air for 3 seconds each as so-called bumpers that transition to and from the show's commercial breaks. Through her exuberant presence that puts subjects at ease, her creative and playful styling on set, and intensive fine-tuning in post, Mary Ellen produces unique and recognizable portraits under the manic deadlines of live TV. What's more, in 2010, she began directing SNL's video clips, including the show's opening title sequence. A few recent clients include Peacock, Hulu, Netflix, Paramount Pictures, 20th Century Studios, and Prime Video, as well as publications such as Variety, Rolling Stone, Marie Claire, and the Spanish edition of Harper's Bazaar. Most notably, in March 2025, Matthews' first book, The Art of the SNL Portrait, was released to mark the 50th anniversary of this revolution in late-night TV. Mary Ellen Matthews, welcome to the show.
Well, that was a lovely introduction. Thank you. I kind of was like, wow, that's not bad.
It's always nerve-wracking to hear people intro you and talk about you, and you're sitting there and you're like, wow, I really am her. Yes, I am.
Well, I mean, it's nice to hear it back because I just love being part of SNL this whole time, and it just makes me really proud to be part of it.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before we started recording today about that. You are living the dream. You love your job, and it really isn't lost on you. And I think that's such a cool thing, is that you live in the moment, but still the little girl who dreams big is in your body right now and every bit as present in what you do.
Yeah, because the show keeps moving and each week it's the same thing, but it's different. So it's just like starting over again each week, and then you get to do it again. You get to be creative. So that's when I'm like, oh my God, this is such a wonderful way to participate to the show. And also I get to be creative each week like this with all these incredible people. It's unbelievable. And I'm just so grateful and proud to be a part of it all.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think is so cool is it's like, okay, it's SNL. It's not like nightly news where it's like, okay, cool. We're taking standard boardroom portraits. You're having people come in who, it's like kind of like when you go to Las Vegas and everyone's there for the same reason. It's like you're there either on vacation to have fun or have a weekend that you can't tell anybody about. And I feel like with SNL, it's like everyone's going there for the same reason. It's fun.
I mean, it is fun. Comedy by trade is fun, but there's a lot of deadlines. There's a lot of stress because we all want to do better than we did last week. It's just another chance to do it again and do it smarter, do it fresher, do it better, just in general. But what can I say? It's amazing. I'm not trying to showcase the problems because there really aren't any, but there are some challenges, I should say.
It's the definition of work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Let's go way back before the SNL days. Now, look, Jersey ties. I got to shout out New Jersey because I'm from New Jersey. We know all the greatest people.
Where?
Of course. Hillsborough. Smack dab in the middle, and people will say it's south, but it's not. It's central. There is actually a central Jersey.
Okay. Yes, there is.
Whereabouts in Jersey are you from?
I'm from Madison.
Okay.
Shout out Madison.
Shout out to Madison. Very nice area. Now, your father, hobbyist photographer. So you have been around cameras, books, traditional darkroom techniques from an early age. Was photography something that, did you look up to your father and that's the route you wanted to take? Or how did your father's photography influence you?
I think it was a way to connect with him, the way to play with him, love what he loves. So I think there's a deep connection there for sure. Be like your dad. You know what I mean? He showed me how to work in the darkroom with him, and I would stand on the couple boxes to get up to his height and do the fixer and all the chemicals, and you know how it goes. But God, it's been a minute. And so I'm trying to remember it all. What are the steps?
Developer, stop bath, fix.
That's right. Yes. That's a good name for a podcast on photography, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so yes, I mean, it's literal magic to develop a black and white print in front of your eyes. I was spellbound to take a moment and then give birth to that moment and you could have it in your hands. I was spellbound.
Yeah, look, I have to tangent for a minute because I think that's one of the things, like film has come back and there's this romanticism about the look of film. But I think for those of us that grew up in the era when that's all you had, the whole process, it's romantic from the start. It's that Christmas morning where you give the film to your mom and she sends it off. Seattle Filmworks. Was there Seattle Filmworks? My mom used to send her film out and it's like you get it back a couple weeks later.
Yes. Oh my God. So much fun.
I know. We're over here. It's like waxing poetic.
I know. So nostalgic. But you know, it's still, I mean, I still shoot film for my own stuff and for some jobs. And it really is so exciting to get the film back and go through all that again.
Definitely. So let's fast forward a little bit. Moved out to New York City. It is a place of opportunity. And obviously, you're half an hour outside of the city growing up. And in 1993, you're working for a record label. You get a call about assisting for Edie Baskin, who was the photographer in residence at SNL at the time.
Yes.
Did Edie know about you? How did your name come up in this conversation?
Her then assistant, Leslie, we knew each other through somebody else. We had a mutual friend, and she knew that I was very into photography. I was working for a record label then, and I was shooting all the bands. I was running around every night and just making myself available to do PR shoots or live shoots or whatever. And she knew that I was interested, and she had that job and she was leaving, so she thought of me. And that's how that happened. I went in and interviewed with Edie.
What were the nerves like?
But ridiculous. I mean, first of all, to work with someone like her, she's so iconic. She started that type of photography for the show. She made that a thing. And I just remember thinking how cool they were. I was very aware of what she did then. And so, to meet the woman, you know, but she's been a great mentor and we're still very good friends.
Was it hard, being that she made it what it was there pressure to, as artists, we love to be our own person. We want to develop our own style, make our own mark. Was it immense footsteps to walk into? Did you feel like there was room to have your own style?
I just wanted to make her proud. I remember that feeling was the first thing. I just wanted to make her proud that she made the right decision. And it was kind of a tricky spot. I didn't want to repeat what she did because that's her visual voice. And I had to figure out how to make it my own.
What was the most important thing she taught you in the time? I mean, it was 7 years that you worked under her before taking over?
Yeah. I think it's an amazing thing how much you can accomplish in a very short time and just how to treat people with respect. And, when you're dealing with that kind of top talent, it's a whole other set of skills, to be honest. So there's a lot that goes with that.
Every time you talk to somebody who's at the top of the game and you ask about, well, what did you learn, this and that? And it's so funny how often the answer has nothing to do with buttons and settings and lights and all this. And it's like life advice. It's stuff that can be applied, like work hard, be nice to people, be easy to work with, be on time.
Yep. The technical part of it is one thing, but then you're in the driver's seat and you've got a whole busload of very important people to take care of.
A Q&A in your book talks about having anxiety when you took over as principal photographer in 1999. I get anxiety just waking up in the morning, so I can't even imagine undertaking that. We kind of talked about, you're taking over, you'd worked under Edie, but at the same time, you have to develop your style. How long did it take you to settle in and be like, you know what, I'm here for a reason. I got this. I know what I'm doing.
I would say a good couple years. We all have imposter syndrome for sure, just to get in the groove and again, try to find my own way to do it. So it took a couple years, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Let's not let it get lost on us that you're not just following after an iconic photographer. You're working with iconic person after iconic person.
Yeah.
A range of personalities and levels of ego, I guess, are involved, and that can kind of make it difficult to navigate, right?
Yes. And that was probably the biggest learning curve, how to step into those shoes at that moment when I didn't really have a ton of experience being the one who was dealing with them directly. I was assisting Edie, so I was watching it go down and learning that way. But to, kind of step in those shoes and talk the talk was a big learning curve.
Hey, by the way, Mary, did Lorne have anything to say with you getting hired, or was it just taking Edie's word?
I don't know what their conversation was. I'm sure he did. And towards the end of her years there, I was taking over for her a little bit here and there because she had some other things in life going on. So he was getting to know me then. So he wasn't like, oh, who is this person?
Right.
I was trying to make myself known a little bit.
Mm-hmm. What was the transition like going from the record label? I mean, it's not like, hey, one moment I'm doing family portraits and the next I'm working Saturday Night Live. From a perspective of deadlines, was the record label as demanding or was it in the same arena?
No, nothing is in the same arena as Saturday Night Live. I have to say, nothing that I've experienced. I was a publicist at a record label, so it was talking to the press and getting bands out there and booking shows and stuff like that. So there was a little bit of talent interaction when I was doing that. So there was that. But, nothing like these deadlines that we're on. And, as you keep going, you know what the deadlines are and you know how to do it now.
Now, one of my favorite things to talk about with photographers who have worked in the film age and had to undergo that transition to the digital age is just that. For you, was that something that was difficult? Were you one of the holdouts who was like, I'm holding on to film as long as possible? Or were you an early adopter?
For our schedule, it was a godsend. This is actually the way it worked. During Edie's time and when I first took over, we did the photo shoots on Tuesdays. So there was a lot of time to do post-production and edit and decide what was going to happen, et cetera. That was the host on Tuesday. And then the music was Thursday. So you had 2 days to shoot. So it wasn't all on the same day. And that was film. So we used to get our film developed at US Color down on Bleecker Street. And then go look at the clips and then, decide how the rest of the session be developed and then have the slides scanned. It was, again, like a godsend for the scheduling for us because then digital was then and there and you saw everything and it was a lot quicker and easier. But then they moved all the shooting till Thursdays. So now everything's on Thursday. And I don't think we could do film even if you wanted to.
Definitely. And now, all these years later, you look at the technology we have, and it's like, wow. I know the younger generation is like, how the hell did they ever? Like, the moment you have to capture, as good as you are at your craft, I mean, it really puts a light on how good you had to be back in the day. You couldn't just pick up a camera one day and...
I know. Gosh, getting slide film developed, that has been a minute. Judging the clips.
I'm kind of curious, when the transition to digital happened, was that, I guess, 2004, maybe 3 or something like that? Or was it later for you guys?
I think it was about 2003. I think that's right.
Yeah. Was there an anxiety there or, did you have to sort of like rejigger the protocol and the workflow?
Yes, I think we started with the Hasselblad. I don't know why I can't remember why we started digital Hasselblad, not just 35. But we had a tech come in and there was a million problems. Like the body wasn't working and we had like 2 or 3 backups. Like it was not an easy transition. I kind of remember that. And I think we were working with Milk then and they would send their own dedicated tech with the cameras.
Right.
What do you shoot on today?
I use Canon when we shoot for SNL. Sometimes I'll rent a Hasselblad depending on what we're doing. If we're doing like a big cast photo, it needs to be a much higher res just because they use them for billboards and such. So then we'll go into medium format digital. But this year, because of the 50th, we wanted to do something very special for the cast photo this year. So I shot 4x5 for that, which kind of just gave it a gravitas while we were shooting, just to make the moment more special.
Okay. And the rest of your kit, as far as the lenses is concerned, do you stick to, is there like an everyday workhorse lens or does it bounce around?
Yeah, just the Zoom, the 24-70, because I shoot really fast and I like people to just kind of move in the space and react in a different way than a very sort of still portraiture way of doing things. Sometimes when I do that, then I'll move to the 85, but mostly it's the 24-70.
Okay. I saw you had posted the crew that you work with recently on your Instagram. So shout out to them. We all know great photographers need a great crew.
That's right.
And that's like the everyday, that's the family.
That's the family. Will Heath, Rosalind O'Connor, and Alex Schaefer. And we have Caro. And then every season we hire a new batch of interns.
And what does a typical day look like for you guys? I mean, how much of your week is pre-production versus post-production and the actual shoots?
My job is to come up with ideas, concepts, and just formulate what we're going to be doing on Thursday. So as soon as I find out who's booked, then I kind of go to work on researching the person if I haven't worked with them before. Like we have repeat offenders like Scarlett or John Hamm. You know these people now. But also I like to find out what they're promoting, what photo shoots or any kind of promotion they've been doing, so you don't step on those toes. And so, so that my team is getting ready to, if we do need a different lens, if I do need to get some colored gels or, we're ordering props and set pieces and things like that. So they're real helpful in that. And then we do video also at the same time for the opening of the show with each host and musical guest. And then I do these sort of fun vignettes for Instagram, for social, with each host and musical guest each week too. So we do video and stills on Thursday.
When did you start doing video?
That's a good question. I'd say maybe 10 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm. And was that something new for you?
Yes. I mean, I directed a few music videos, but for Saturday Night Live it was, yeah.
Was that always an interest? I know a lot of people they're inspired by film early on in their career, or even before they're in the career. It's like you're a film buff, but then some people are like, you know what? I'm happy with stills. I have no desire.
Like if there was 700 days to the year, I would totally be more involved in film. I was a PA, and then I moved to the camera department for maybe 3 or 4 movies. So that was great experience too. They used to call me the camera tomato.
The camera tomatoes?
Yeah.
That sounds like a great idea for a portrait.
I know. What, right?
Well, you know what? You took us there, Jill. So if you could direct your own SNL bumper photo shoot, I mean, how would that go down for you? If someone's got to photograph you and it's got to be in... You had to be on the other side of the camera. How's it going down?
Oh my God, I don't know. I'd rather not be honest, but...
Camera tomato.
Yes, because of the book, I had to do a bunch of press, and I'm still doing it, which has really been fun to do. But I forget what the outlet was, but they wanted to do a photo shoot with me, and they had all these fun props, like, ones that would be something I guess they thought that I would have. So it was kind of fun. They kind of went there with that.
Kind of begs a question for me, Mary. How often do the guests dictate like their shoot? Are there some guests that are like, no, look, I'm doing this thing? And
I wouldn't say it's they're digging their heels in the sand. It's more, I love when it can be collaborative. Of course, if you have any ideas, please bring them. And a lot of people are. And that's why I did the whole chapter of John Mulaney, because he loves doing these and he loves to be collaborative. And as soon as he knows he's been booked, I'll get a text from him like, what are we doing? So he's a lot of fun that way. And yeah, of course, I want to make dreams come true. Whatever you want to do, like we can make it happen.
I think that's the most fun part for me, being a consumer of what you're producing, is seeing actors, actresses, notable celebrities and people in such a different light than you're used to seeing them, where I feel like you can see the real them coming out and they are legitimately having fun. And I think as a creative, as a photographer, that can sometimes be the hardest task, especially with someone who, for most of these people, their career is to act and is to put on a certain face. And you can really, really see there's an authentic nature. Like they are legitimately having the time of their lives. And I always love trying to see like, okay, is this person, how involved were they? And there's certain people that jump out. I loved your series. So Emma Stone, is the images over the years, it's like they're all different. They're all very you, they're all very her, but they're different. And it's like you can kind of see and you start to turn the wheels in your head that this person probably loves having this chance to go in here. Like you were just saying, like, hey, when are we doing this? What ideas are we going to have?
Yeah. It also, there's a lot of other people involved too. We have an amazing costume designer, Tom Broker, who really gets involved with these kinds of things. Like if someone needs to be dressed up like Sarah Silverman, she was a maid dusting off the marquee. So getting that right. So it really is a collaborative beyond the talent and myself. It's all these other people, the stylists and makeup artists, who make it all come together.
Mm-hmm. Jill, I can read your mind. I know you want to stay on that Sarah Silverman marquee portrait right there, climbing up the ladder to dust off the marquee. The quote in your book about getting into a little bit of trouble or having permission. We talk about that.
Yes, that was a dicey moment. I was talking to a dear friend of mine, Sean Patrick, who, by the way, owns Acme Brooklyn, which is that big prop house. But anyway, we were talking on the phone. I was in a cab on the way up there. And I was saying I'm doing Sarah, and then we were kind of just batting around some ideas, and that came out in our conversation. I was like, oh my God, I got to do this. And I texted Tom, the hair, makeup, and props department within SNL. Always get these texts, and I know that I must drive them crazy because when the idea hits you, it just hits you. It doesn't matter if it's 2 days before or if it's 20 minutes before I get out of the cab. Anyway, we thought of that and Sarah loved it. And so we kind of just did it. And, a building like Rockefeller Center, you can't just do that. Tishman Speyer owns it and you have to jump through all the legal hoops and get permission. And we just were like, yeah, we'll just do that. And they didn't like that very much. But in the end, it was fine. And I just can't ever do that again.
Is there a lot of restrictions? I mean, I can only imagine, as you said, this is, there's a lot of deadlines. It's Saturday Night Live. It's not public access TV. Is there like a giant book of do's and don'ts and any of that?
I'm sure there is. I have never seen it, nor do I want to.
It's one of those things, if you don't end up in the principal's office, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. When you work in such an iconic building like that, it's nice to know that the top of the rock is just sitting there. If we can use it, we just have to do it in the right way. And when we were shooting Jason Momoa, he's gotten into playing guitar now, and it was a beautiful day. I guess this was not last season, but the season before. And I was like, let's get you playing that flying V on the top of New York City. So, made some phone calls and we got to run up there real quick.
That's great. And I know he's one of those people that is, he's a photographer. He's into the whole creative thing. And so I'm personal friends with one of his photographers. So I get to see like secondhand through.
Oh, what's his name? He's a great guy.
Jason Roman.
Yes.
He is such a good guy, super talented. And it's so funny because, like I said, I get to follow along kind of second, third hand through what Jason posts, Jason Roman.
Yep.
And Jason Momoa just looks like he's one of those people you're just like, that dude must be a ton of fun to hang out with.
Yeah, it's like following in his wake of fun. And you can't buy enthusiasm. He's just in 100 million %. I love being around that guy. I love when he comes around. He'll come and watch a show once in a while or cruise through. And, at the 50th anniversary, there were a lot of people who came back and it was so much fun to see everyone again.
Does that expand what you can do when you have somebody that understands your job as well as you understand?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And again, like I said, like repeat offenders and people who have come before know what to expect and can, kind of put their thinking cap on. And that's what makes it more fun because they'll have some ideas or they want or don't want to do.
And let's go back to the prop house while we're there, because we're talking about, having fun with shoots. Is there like, how do the props come in? Like where in the process do you decide? Is there kind of like a general theme and then you just start piecing it together? Or sometimes is it reverse engineered? Like, hey, I want to use this prop. Let's find a way to incorporate it.
Yeah, sometimes I guess. But I don't know when this started to open up instead of it just being portraits of these guys and gals to concepts of like Josh Brolin. Imagine him being on a horse. And this was years ago. And then I lit him like he was riding into the sunset to actually getting a horse and putting it in Times Square. So everything kind of opened up, and for good or for bad.
That must have required some permissioning.
Oh, that for sure. We have this wonderful department who takes care of that kind of stuff. Dina Moles is the head of that department and literally makes dreams come true. I'm like, I've got this great idea. Is it possible? And then sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But, we all love to dig in creatively and kind of flex that muscle of like, what can we do in New York City? So there are a lot of people who are very supportive to this kind of creativity.
I'm just picturing you in line at the grocery store getting hit with an idea like, oh my God, we got to do this. And it's the wildest thing. And
it happens like that. You don't know where you're going to find it and where it hits, for sure.
Where does a lot of your inspiration come, or has it come in your career? Were there people or movies, films, or anything that...
All of it. I mean, we keep our eyes open and, sometimes it's nice to have somebody who is playing on the contradiction of a comedian doing something very serious and vice versa. So it's nice to play against type.
And I'm guessing most of the people that are coming on, they're into it. I mean, you're coming on Saturday Night Live, you kind of know, it comes with the territory, you know what you're getting into. Or is there people that you've dealt with where it's like, I'm kind of...
Yeah, for sure. Also, my job is to make this easy and fast. And I don't want anyone to be overthinking anything because they've got enough to worry about with, all the sketches and all the pre-tapes and their responsibilities to the rest of the show, which is the most important thing.
So what's your week like, Mary Ellen? Are you on set Monday through Saturday?
I am not there on Monday. That's more of like people catching their breath and getting things returned from the last week, like all the props go back or anything that we've had, camera bits and things that we've rented. And that's kind of like, let's put everything back into place and reset. And so then it kind of goes from there. Although they have a big writers meeting for whomever is hosting that week. So if it's Emma Stone, say, they come in on Monday and start pitching ideas to whomever is hosting and kind of start getting the wheels turning. And I don't really have anything to do with that. So, do
your photo ideas ever get inspired or come from the skits that are being done, or are they totally separate?
No, not really. Those are two separate entities. And, it has happened that something may kind of double up, just happened by coincidence. So it doesn't want to seem like this is part of the sketch. So try to keep these things separate.
It seems like it's more freeing for you to not have to be bound by what the skit's going.
Yeah, 100%. I'll leave them to that.
Well, this seems like a wonderful time to take a break. So go ahead, stand up, stretch, shake it out. If you're already standing, please have a seat. And when we return, we will continue our conversation with the wonderful Mary Ellen Matthews about her stunning celebrity portraits from Saturday Night Live and, frankly, coolest job ever. There, I said it.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the B&H Photography Podcast. The best way to support the show is by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. For links to gear and more information on today's guests, check out the show notes on your podcast app or visit our homepage on the B&H Explorer website and join our B&H Photography Podcast Facebook group. And now, back to the show.
And we are back with Mary Ellen Matthews. Now, before the break, we got the lowdown on your gear. We covered some broad strokes about your pictures, and we kind of decided we want to dive back into the gear because over the break, we were talking 4x5. So let's dive back into that conversation. Mike's like, you still got the chops. Mary Ellen's like, of course.
They have to be brushed up. They're in there. So I was saying while we were on break, I was asking, are you guys actually at B&H? Because as you know, like that's the place to go when you need something. You got to go get some gear, got to go B&H. And it's always a fun outing. But I was saying I got to get back in there because I want to buy a 4x5. I had one, I had a CNR, but it kind of got misplaced, weirdly enough. So part of my job is to do the bumpers, but there's a lot of photography to the job. And one of them is when there's graphics that are used for the sketches. So I'll make this up. Like we're talking about Jason Momoa, like maybe he's in a heavy metal band. That's a sketch. So you might need an album cover when you come into the sketch. So we would have to do that. So we used to use 4x5 Polaroid because there wasn't digital photography, and the writers would write these sketches and we'd have to do it Friday night.
Wow.
So we would use 4x5 Polaroid, and then they would scan them in the graphic department and then add whatever the name of the band is. So we'd have to get everybody dressed up and the cast members that were in the sketch along with whomever was posting. So anyway, we would do that. We would do 4x5 Polaroid back then. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Crazy. Man.
But now we can't do that anymore because there isn't any 4x5 Polaroid, is there?
No.
We've had to downsize. It's like you have all the little companies popping up. Who is it? Impossible that started making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and even like I always loved the FP, you know, the Fujifilm FP for the the peel apart film, and it's like, even if you wanted to dive really back in, you can't.
I mean, unless you find some archival stuff, but I don't even think you can find 4x5 Polaroid anymore, right?
Yeah, I think it's whirled away in a few photographers' refrigerators.
But that's interesting. I wouldn't even have thought about that. The fact that, you're working for the art department in some cases, taking pictures that need to be props for skits. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So now that happens the same way, but of course it's just, we pop in a card in or connect the laptop and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things I miss about the old days is seeing iconic photographers' Polaroids, like their test Polaroids and from the past. And it's like, you'll never see that again.
Yeah. Well, unless you've got a stash or can find it.
This is the most Bronx thing ever, but I know a guy who has a refrigerator full of Fujifilm FP 3000B and sells it for an insane amount.
How?
He's held on to it and he's kept it in his refrigerator. And I'm like, as a friend, I have an old Polaroid land camera and I'm like, can I just get like one pack? I just want to see if the camera works. He's like $250. I'm like,
whoa.
I've got a few too. I have it in my refrigerator too. And I don't know why I'm holding on to it. It's like, just go shoot it.
Special moment, waiting for it.
So you're going to pick up a new 4x5, Marianne?
I'd like to, or maybe a used one.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to go over there and start the process.
Wait, what about that 4x5 look? Like, what did you see in those pictures that you couldn't get, like from renting, like a digital Hasselblad or something like that?
It's in the doing, right? It's in the process. And, I shoot so fast with doing this, and it's just kind of the way I've been doing it. And I just want to slow down and compose. This summer, I really want that personal project of, I always make this joke, like shooting a mayonnaise jar and like lighting it beautifully and whatever. Like I want to just kind of take a little swerve.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like your brain is constantly on and constantly thinking and cranking. And many of us, that's the struggle right there. Like you have to work with a blank canvas constantly and have to generate these ideas, which I think is it's so admirable to come up with what you do. I think a lot of people think it is something it's not, where it's like, oh, the ideas are fed and they got a whole and it's like, no, you're working with a blank canvas. Everything you see it's creative.
And I love it. I love doing it. I work with copious management and I do a lot of movie posters or ad stuff that requires this kind of thought process. And I love doing it. I love figuring out the puzzle and how to make sense of a movie script in one image. It's a fun thing to work on.
How much time are you afforded with people? I know that's always the thing with celebrity portraits is like you might have 30 seconds in a broom closet. Does it change with SNL or do you have more time or is it still on the same strict?
We've scheduled like 90 minutes or something, an hour to do this. And it's a busy day, but it's fun because you got to just keep moving and we're all used to a tight schedule. So I find it's better if you have too much time, then you start overthinking and you're adding problems to it. But if you've got a tight 30 seconds in a broom closet, then those parameters can really show up in a cool way. You can show up for that 30 seconds in a cool way.
And that's the Thursday shoot?
That's Thursday, yeah.
And the video, if video is involved, that happens simultaneously?
And within that time, yeah.
Right.
But that's a really fun thing to do is come up with these little ideas to have these guys participate in, like with Willem Dafoe, I came up with this idea that, he's doing the magic briefcase bit. So he walks in and he has a briefcase, puts it down on the table. And of course, we've got the hole in the table and we're feeding, a bunch of balloons. And he's like, oh my goodness, there's balloons in the briefcase or whatever, that bit. He had fun with that. And that's the biggest part for me is just getting people just to have fun.
those video clips, and those exist primarily on your Instagram?
Yeah, on SNL's Instagram.
Yeah. They really do. Derek, you were saying earlier that they have this sort of like in between kind of, because they're not acting and they're not like, candid pictures, but they're sort of in between. And you do get a sense, like a real flavor for the human being in those clips. I really, really appreciate them. Yeah, they're really, really cool. They pack a lot of punch.
I got to put them into one place and just, so people can look at them, because with this kind of content, it just keeps moving and moving. And then they get so much more content added and just gets lost in the sauce. But it'd be nice to have them in one place.
It is. It's hard. It's like, it's overload.
Yeah.
You could take the greatest image in the world and it's like, okay, well, it's been painted over tomorrow.
That happened yesterday. So that's old news now.
Right? 24 hours is such a long time.
Bye.
It was funny what you said, Willem Dafoe. It's like, he's one of the people that has jumped out when I've seen the image. And it's like, he looks like he's really into it.
He's amazing. What a guy. I mean, his presence is incredible. He's so generous with his time and his talent. And again, going back to that little vignette that we did, like we had to do it like 3 takes. And he was so patient and so wonderful. And at the end, he was like, I could have done that better. No, you were fine. You were great. Willem's been on a couple times, and definitely he's such an amazing talent that you just can't even get your head around it. And, I'm in the funny business, so you don't want to go too goofy with someone like that. But also they like to have fun.
See, as you're talking about this, it's opening up another layer of anxiety in me for you, where I'm like, it's like, it's cool. But then you're like, well, how do I get them open? Do I make a joke? What if it's a bad joke? What if they're looking at me like, this guy's a clown?
Yeah. Here, put these clown shoes on. And this, no, don't do that. I got to be careful.
What is the test shoots like? If you're doing an idea, it's got to be, okay, we can get the lighting down, or we can get this down or that down, but you never know what the personality is going to give you until it's the personality. So how do you guys test?
I come with more ideas than is necessary, just because if something's not working or if it's just not vibing, then, we've got some other ideas, or we don't have to do anything. We can just do beautiful portraits, and that's fine too. So it's the extremes, from beautiful portraits to completely nutty, wacky stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing you would have everything at your disposal. You have a nice stage space. You guys are adjacent to where they rehearse for the musical performance,
We
right?
are in Studio 8H is where it all happens. And so we get a little space carved out for us on Thursdays. And sometimes it has to move around depending on how the show is picked. So they pick sketches, and then they've got to production design these sketches, and what stage are they going to go on? Which area in 8H is it going to be? So if it needs to be designed, we might have to move around a little bit to accommodate that, because that's the most important. And we just need to find our little space to make it happen.
It's like the typical professional commercial photographer life. You're a problem solver.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's amazing what you can do in a little amount of time and a tiny space. And we can always figure it out. We'll figure it out.
You talked about the horse photo, and it's like, okay, you have your studio space. If you're working in there, that's fine. Is there ever an idea that popped up and it's like, okay, we have no time to schedule this. It might need a permit. It might not. Is there something that jumps out where you're flying by the seat of your pants, last second change, or maybe a cool idea that popped up at the last moment?
100%. Like I was saying with the Sarah Silverman idea, that just happened at the last minute. It just sort of fell into my brain. So we've got all these great people to ask. Tina Fey, many years ago, when she first hosted, she stepped onto set. They decided to put her in a tight black dress. And I was like, oh my goodness, that looks like a Robert Palmer. So I'm dating myself. Robert Palmer girls.
That video is an all-time classic.
You guys know that.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, with the electric guitars.
It's funny, my kids on my crew or the interns are like, no idea what you're talking about. Like, they don't know what that is. It's back in the day. But anyway, so thought like, oh my God, let's slick her hair back and let's get a flying, like the second time I'm bringing up a flying V, but just the prop department.
Right. They were all playing guitars. That's right.
Yeah, the flying Vs. Yeah.
It's a cool looking guitar.
Yeah, we found one somewhere. So hats off to these guys and girls in the prop department who can make anything happen quickly.
By the way, do you shoot behind the scenes during the week?
Yeah, that's part of the job also. And that's kind of been handed off to our interns, which gives them a really good experience and fresh eyes on it. So that's their job now. So it's been cool for them to do it. And also another part of our duties is to shoot the show as episodics, we call them. There's a dress rehearsal and the live show. So our guy, Will Heath, in my department does that. So he shoots that part of the show.
The dress rehearsal.
The dress rehearsal. And sometimes the sketch will change enough that he'll have to shoot the air also.
Gotcha.
Marilyn, I want to dive back into the planning and pre-production. You had mentioned, getting to know the guests. And I love how you call them repeat offenders. That's the greatest term for this. How much of it is working with their team and how much relies upon, if it is a repeat offender, or let's say if it's not a repeat offender, their celebrity status? Does it depend on what you know about the person or how big they are at the moment or what's going on with them at the moment? It might be somebody who recently landed a big role and came out of obscurity. How does that play in?
Right. Yes. So most people will bring their stylist. So I'll work with the stylist during the week is to say, like, what are we doing? Like the talent, what are they working with now? What kind of mode are they in? Or what do they want to be wearing and communicating? So working with them and then adding into, well, I have this idea. Can we find this, look? And so there's a lot of working with their team. And, again, I have to research someone who's new to the show or new to the world to get to know them and make sure that we're vibing.
Is the vibe easy for you? I mean, it seems like it would be easy for you going in. I mean, you're a personable person. And I think for somebody to thrive, of course, I could see that even just from the imagery you create and everything I've seen and read and your online presence, it seems like it would be pretty easy. Am I wrong? Is it not? Do you feel like it's harder for you? Or I feel like you can get by in circumstances and situations with people who most people would be completely shut down.
I try. Like I said, that's the other part of the job. The other set of skills is to lead a shoot and keep it rolling, have everybody needs be met and have a good time and make sure everybody's comfortable and don't want to stress anybody out. I try to make it fun and I really love what I do. So there's that. But I'm very respectful of people's time and don't want to, again, stress anyone out and, have them overthink anything.
By the way, do you have shoots with the musical guests as well?
Yeah, that's Thursday also. It's later in the afternoon. While we're doing the shoot for the host, the musical guest is rehearsing and blocking and getting their performances down. So we're hearing that, which is amazing to, be in this space. And
Oh yeah.
Is there a general workflow that you follow, whether it relates to getting people comfortable or just conducting the shoot in general?
The day starts, we set up everything, we test the light, and we, if there's a particular concept that needs a different lighting scheme, that we'll test that and run through all the looks. So that's a lot on my team, text the day before, like, this is what I want to do. Maybe it's an old Hollywood lighting, but, we kind of have to prepare for that and, nail that before anybody comes onto the set, just so we know what we're doing and it's all locked in. And then I'll meet with whomever the host is and go over the concepts and see if they like these ideas and talk to the hair and makeup team and make sure whatever the look is dialed in and that we're all on the same page and go through all the costumes or just whatever they're wearing. And then we dive in.
And for post-production, I mean, you have a great team, but how involved are you in selecting the images?
It's just me. Yeah. So, it's only me. So I'll have to start editing either that night or first thing in the morning to start going through and picking whatever it is to start working on, start doing all the post and the color and whatever else needs to happen. And then work with my guy, Alex, who I do the video with, and we start editing down all that stuff. And that goes in the front of the show, which is in the montage, the title sequence. So do that and then start on the social stuff.
That's awesome. I mean, it's great.
A lot for Friday and Saturday. It's pretty intense couple days.
Definitely, but having that control over the creative vision, it's like I think sometimes we think with the big productions, it's like, okay, everything just goes off and there's somebody dedicated to that. And I love when an artist has control over which image is being chosen, what the final look is going to be.
I don't really get involved with the talent to edit through stuff unless there's a big request to do so. But I try not to get them involved in that because then they're going to start overthinking it and they've got enough to do.
That makes perfect sense. And I think with SNL, it's like they're not working with an unproven commodity. It's a very known, and I think your name, you stand on your own name and you're trusted. There's a certain level of trust there, right?
I hope so. Yeah. Some people request to see the images before they go on air. Most don't, but if they want to see them, of course, that's their right. So make sure that everyone's happy before it goes to air.
What advice do you have for the younger generation, if people who are aspiring to be an intern, an assistant, or follow in your footsteps?
I think having your own vision, your own, again, like I keep saying visual voice. I don't know why I'm saying that, but your own vision and what you can bring to the table. That's number one. And the second thing I always say is to try to work with as many different photographers as possible to assist people so you can see different ways of working, not just a couple, but, try to see what so many people are doing differently so you can get a whole vast set of skills.
Yeah, and it's like I threw it out there for the beginners, but now that I think about it, it's like we're all constantly learning and changing. I'm sure you've seen a huge change.
Yeah, but also like there's so many things that I want to try differently. And, you kind of get set in your ways, especially with this gig, like that I can't really do much else than what I'm doing, but I'd like to try. I'd like to try to find another way to do it.
Do you do personal projects at all?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I want to get that 4x5.
The mayonnaise jar.
I'm like, wait, was the mayonnaise jar? Are we really doing this for real?
Still lives?
Yeah, I kind of want to just do very composed still lives. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure everybody has this issue. Like, you want to have this time to do something like this, but life gets in the way and other jobs get in the way. I just got booked on something for Sunday, so my attention's on that right now. But this is what we do. We love it.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Is this, either contractually or time-wise, does this take up all of your time? I know you got to be some time. How much downtime do you have or how much time for other projects?
We have weeks on and weeks off, but, this past year was particularly busy because of the 50th. So we were kind of all in for all season for this. So I didn't really have much time to do any other stuff. And plus the book and the promotion and everything else. And then this summer we're on hiatus. So we do have some time, but other things are popping up, which is great. We all need to work with new and interesting people and different projects. And like I was saying, to go out there and do other things to bring it back to what your primary job is, for me, is a good thing.
Totally.
And by the way, how long do the interns stay at SNL? Are they there for the year?
We used to have each half of the year, so September to December, and then we'd have a new crew from January to May, but now they're full-time, which is great because, you become tight with them and it's nice to have them there all year.
And how does one apply?
I think that there is something through NBC.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I'm not sure, but that's an important question. I don't know the answer to exactly because my guy, Will Heath, takes care of hiring these guys. So I can find out because I'm sure people would love to know.
Would it be similar to like the NBC Page program?
I think so. I think through NBC you do it. I'm pretty sure. But if anybody really wants to know, I'm sure we could figure that out.
Okay. Put in the show notes.
What do you have in the pipeline? Any exhibits, projects, anything that you have coming up?
I'm going to be doing more press on the book for sure. I've got a couple book signings coming up. I think working one in LA, and I've got a couple jobs lined up right now. So my head's around that. And then I got to get to that mayonnaise jar.
I've never looked forward to a photo more than the mayonnaise jar.
I know. But I'm going to come in and see you guys. So maybe we can all meet in person.
Yeah, that would be great.
Love that. I'll bring you guys a book. We're talking about that in the break. I'd love to get you guys just
I think we need 3 books, right?
Yeah. Sure.
But speaking of the book, when did the idea for the book come into your mind, or was that a long time coming? Or
I think like a bunch of years ago, I knew like I really wanted to do that, and people were asking about it. So I think that kind of put it in the brain more. And then the 50th anniversary, there was just so much excitement around that. I just thought, well, then here's a good way to celebrate even more, to add to the celebration. It was a lot of fun, and I had an amazing team. I had Pentagram design it. I've worked with Emily Oberman and her team for years on the titles, so it just was a perfect fit, and they're just the best in the biz. So that was an amazing thing. And then my friend Allison Castle helped write it and curate it with me.
It looks great. For me, a book is it. A book is everything. Having that tangible product, it's easy. It's like wall art is great, but a book, it's like...
I know, I'm a book crazy person. I'm just looking at my table. I've got tons and tons and tons of coffee table books. They're exactly what you're saying. It's in your lap. You're looking at it. You get to stare at it. And I remember that as a kid, looking at all the Time Life photo books. Like you just believe, like, where is this? I mean, that happened and there's a photo of it.
And now you have something...
Yes.
That, and it lives on. It's passed down. It's the same thing. It's like growing up. Well, Marianne, this was such a great conversation. You could feel the energy and your images. It's every bit you coming through in the images.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, what a fun conversation. And I really appreciate you guys chit-chatting.
Yes, we appreciate having you on as well. So thanks so much for joining us today. If you are a fan of the show but are not yet a subscriber, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, B&H's YouTube channel, or wherever you get your podcasts, and click subscribe. You can also find us on the Explorer blog, where we post photos from our guests along with our show notes. I'm your host, Derek Fassbender. Jill Waterman is our creative producer. This Encore episode was edited by technical producer Peter Maziars, and our executive producer is Dana Glidden. On behalf of us all, thank you so much for tuning in today.